So, you've probably heard about that recent congressional hearing, right? The one with the crazy UFO video that just left lawmakers completely baffled. Well, while the official story is basically one big question mark, two independent researchers have come forward with an absolutely stunning alternative. They're claiming it's not at all what you think, and we're about to break down exactly why.
What you're about to hear is a story of, well, secret projects, alleged extraterrestrial contact, and a battle for the truth that's supposedly being waged in the shadows. We're going to unpack a narrative that suggests the biggest secrets aren't coming from other worlds, but from right here on Earth.
For this explainer, we're focusing on the specific claims made by Dr. Stephen Greer and an investigator named Jon Stewart. They're arguing that what the public is being told about UFOs is a really carefully constructed deception. Our goal here is just to lay out their complex argument for you piece by piece.
We'll start with Dr. Greer's argument because it all hinges on a recent, really high-profile event. He claims this single incident pulls back the curtain on a hidden internal conflict happening within the government itself.
Okay, so this is the official event that sparked the hearing. A drone spots a spherical object, another drone fires a Hellfire missile at it, and the object appears to break up. The official conclusion that was presented to Congress? We don't know what it is or where it came from. But, that's exactly where the counter-narrative begins.
Dr. Greer immediately challenges that official story. He says, based on the object's behavior, there's no way it's extraterrestrial. Instead, he argues it's a product of a secret, man-made program. And what it really reveals is this deep fracture within our own power structures. So in his view, we're not looking at us versus them, but us versus us.
And this slide right here really breaks down Greer's central idea. He's arguing there are essentially two governments operating in parallel. On one side, you have the legal, constitutional government, what he calls Team Blue. That's the military and leadership we all know. But on the other side, there's a transnational syndicate running illegal projects with technology that's generations ahead of anything Team Blue has. Technology allegedly derived from reverse-engineered extraterrestrial craft.
Okay, so if this secret group has all this crazy advanced tech, why stage these public encounters? Well, Greer argues it's all part of a long-term psychological operation, one designed to manipulate all of us.
According to Greer, the motive is simple: money and power. He claims this syndicate is intentionally creating an alien threat narrative to justify trillions in black budget funding. The idea is they take real UAP events, many involving their own craft, and then spin them in the media to stoke public fear, creating a problem that only they can solve with, you guessed it, more secrecy and more funding.
And to back this up, Greer points to historical events that he says prove the exact opposite of a threat. He argues that major UFO events have consistently happened around our nuclear facilities. From Roswell back in '47 to a Soviet base in '79 where a UFO allegedly prevented a meltdown, to UFOs disabling nuclear missiles in the '90s. The claim here is that these weren't acts of aggression. They were desperate warnings from ETs trying to stop humanity from destroying itself.
Now, let's pivot from Greer's big-picture theory to a single, explosive piece of evidence investigated by researcher Jon Stewart. We're talking about a piece of footage that, if it's real, changes absolutely everything.
And that piece of footage is the alien interview tape. The story goes that back in 1991, this was smuggled out of a top-secret facility by a whistleblower. And what it supposedly shows is the telepathic interview of a living, breathing extraterrestrial being that was being held in captivity.
Now, the facility, according to Stewart's investigation, wasn't the famous S4 that you hear about in UFO lore. It was a different site called S2 Alpha. And he claims to have found documents showing this facility was built specifically in the early 1960s to be an alien housing center.
What's interesting is that Stewart approached this whole thing as a skeptic, trying to prove it was a hoax. But over 6 years, he compiled this case file of clues that he argues point toward it actually being authentic. So let's walk through them like a detective.
So, Stewart's case really boils down to 4 key areas: some highly specific language, a secret code hidden in plain sight, a really stunning eyewitness identification, and finally, a paper trail that seems to back up the whistleblower's identity.
Okay, first up, the jargon. The whistleblower, who is only known as Victor, describes the alien as medically flagging. Now, Stewart says this is a super obscure piece of government medical terminology from the Korean War era. It's a term that a young Hollywood hoaxer in the 90s, before the internet made research easy, would have basically no reason to know.
The second clue
is just a single number, seen on the bottom of the tape next to an acronym, the number 27. I mean, on its own, it means nothing, but Stewart's investigation uncovered a potential bombshell meaning.
So this table breaks down the code on the tape, DNI 27. Stewart's sources claim DNI is the Department of Naval Intelligence, which is a denied agency that he says he later proved exists. But the key is that number 27. It's allegedly the numerical code for Yankee White, the highest security clearance you need to access the extraterrestrial program. It's a detail, he argues, a hoaxer couldn't possibly know.
But maybe the most stunning clue is a human one. You can see two medics in the footage. Stewart actually tracked down the widow of a U.S. Air Force doctor named Wilford Webb Wilson. When he showed her the footage, she positively identified one of the men as her late husband. She said it finally explained a lifetime of extreme secrecy that had almost cost them their marriage. But what about the whistleblower, Victor? Well, he just disappeared. Stewart claims he was sheep-dipped. It's an intelligence term for when your entire history is erased from official records to make you a ghost, severing any possible link back to the secret project you were part of.
And this is the final piece of the puzzle. Despite the sheep-dipping, Stewart claims he found one document that slipped through the cracks, an entry log for EG&G, a major Area 51 contractor. And on that log, from the correct time period, is the name Victor used, Stanton John Willett. It's a potential paper trail that places the ghost right at the scene of the crime.
So let's bring both of these threads together. The researchers conclude that this isn't just a story about the past. They make a powerful final argument, and it's aimed directly at those who are still on the inside.
Their final message is a direct call to action. Dr. Greer argues that because these secret programs are operating outside the constitutional chain of command, they're fundamentally illegal, and therefore any non-disclosure agreement signed by the personnel is legally void. He's basically telling potential whistleblowers that coming forward isn't a crime. The crime is this secrecy itself.
Ultimately, both Greer and Stewart, coming from different angles, arrive at the same conclusion. They believe a vast criminal enterprise is hiding the most important secrets in human history, and that the only way the truth is going to come out is if more people on the inside decide to speak up.
So their narrative presents this world of deep state secrets, manufactured threats, and hidden truths. It's a really compelling, if pretty unsettling, alternative to the official story. And it leaves us with this final, hanging question. If they're right, who is going to be the one to break the silence?